Saturday session. Thank you, Christian, for giving us a shout out on our tunes. We are glad you're here. And just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started today. We will be recording this presentation so that way we can share it with others that may not be able to make it today. So if you know anyone that would benefit from this conversation or would be interested in seeing it, we share it on our YouTube. And so we'll share that as soon as it becomes available. There is live transcript available. So at the bottom of the screen, you should see a little box that says CC. And so if you want subtitles on your screen, you can click that box and hit show subtitles. If you could, for our attendees participating today, drop your email in the chat. We will be following this presentation with a quick survey. Detroit CHEMpreneurIST is really intentional about getting feedback from our attendees and students to make the next event and program even better than the next. So drop your email in the chat and we'll follow up after this presentation with that quick survey. And then if you could please stay muted throughout the presentation. We have built in time for a question and answer session around 1 to 1:30. But if you're anything like me and will think of something as someone's talking and then the next minute it's gone, you're welcome to add in any questions that you have along the way as the presenters are speaking in the chat. And when we get to that question and answer, we'll make sure to include your question to our presenters. So with that, let's get started.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today. My name is Cass Fry, and I'm a co-founder of Detroit CHEMpreneurIST, entrepreneur and chemist. I'm also a board member as well.
And I am Brittany Mitchell-Kelly. I am the entrepreneurship instructor, co-founder of Detroit CHEMpreneurIST, and also the board president. We also have our other fellow board members with us, Lynn Roosevelt Wiggins, who is our director of outreach, and Katie Standiford, which is our director of curriculum. So now we want to tell you a little bit more about our program. So Detroit CHEMpreneurIST offers students from all backgrounds the opportunity to be empowered in an inclusive, safe space and excel in STEAM. So STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, entrepreneurship, arts, and mathematics experiences while collaborating about personal care chemistry and entrepreneurship. And we do this through offering summer programming and programming with schools or community organizations that teach personal care chemistry and entrepreneurship. And it's our vision to educate local youth in a holistic program to prepare and explore their passions while also diversifying and increasing the fields of STEAM. And our goal is to create opportunities for rural and urban resident-owned small businesses so that they can boost the local economy.
So now that you've heard a little bit more about our mission and vision, how do we bring that to life through our program? Well, we do that through personal care chemistry and entrepreneurship. So I'm going to take a little bit of time now to tell you about the personal care chemistry side of the program. So students have the opportunity to work with personal care products such as cosmetic products that they use every day to keep themselves clean, healthy, and safe. They're going to have the opportunity to conceptualize and manufacture. They're going to research and explore different product ideas. And they're also going to go ahead and utilize some of the things that they're learning in school, like the scientific method. And they're going to hypothesize, they're going to experiment, make observations, and draw conclusions based on the outcomes of these experiments. And we also use entrepreneurship, so I'll go ahead and pass it over to Brittany to share a little bit more about the entrepreneurship side of the program.
Thanks, Cass. So the entrepreneurship side of the program takes what students are learning in personal care chemistry and can apply them to entrepreneurship or encourage their own unique idea. So the idea is that we're trying to shake the status quo, and we do this by offering students a chance to look creatively to solve problems, to generate ideas on problems that might exist in their own community. So we help students build tools to essentially start their own business, to create social impact. And so we provide them their own tools to develop their own market research around their business idea or product. We help them prototype their products or ideas, generate a business model, and practice pitching their ideas to ventures and stakeholders.
All right, so now that we've learned a little bit more about us and the program, we want to share with you some of the upcoming events we have. So currently, we are hosting a cell phone fundraiser. This is an ongoing event all the way through August 7th of this year. The only requirement is it must have a battery, so it doesn't matter how old the phone is. If you've got a Nokia from back in the day, maybe one of those Cricket Wireless sitting around, maybe an old burner phone, please feel free, if you're not using it, to donate to us. We would gladly accept it. You can email us at info@DetroitChempreneurIST.org or text cell phone to 313-536-0714 to schedule a collection. We both have drop-off sites and pickup available. Currently, we have 2 drop-off sites, but we are actively expanding into other locations. You can head to Central Detroit Christian CDC, located at 1550 Taylor Street in Detroit, or Walking Lightly, located at 1031 Hilton in Ferndale. Some of the programming we have going on currently: on Mondays, we are programming virtually with Lincoln Park High School students. That program started on March 7th and will continue until April 18th. On Wednesdays, we're hosting our hybrid program that's offered both in Zoom and in person at the same time. And that currently is 6th through 12th graders. And that is with Central Detroit Christian at the 1550 Taylor Street location. And since we're all at Second Saturday, we're doing this every month for the rest of the year. So we have a couple more that we want to share with you, the topics. So next month, Second Saturday, is all about mental health awareness, both in a personal level and in a business level. So looking at what it means to have both a positive mental health yourself, as well as creating a positive mental health environment within your organization and within your team members. We will be doing some activities like yoga and meditation during that activity. So if that's something that you're interested in, please come back and join us next Saturday, which is May 14th. And then for June, for Pride Month, we'll be highlighting the LGBTQ in STEAM fields. So that should be an interesting one, and we're really excited to spotlight those individuals as well. And now we're going to go ahead and move into today's event and what we're all here for. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Brittany to give our speakers an introduction.
Thank you, Cass. So Detroit CHEMpreneurIST is committed to providing students of all backgrounds and abilities the opportunity to excel in STEAM disciplines. And we teach students how to link different learned life skills to future opportunities and careers in STEAM to increase and diversify these STEAM fields. And today and every day, we want to spotlight local organizations that increase access and opportunity that will positively impact the quality of life for people with disabilities. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Cass to present our first presenter of our second Saturday session.
All right, thank you so much, Brittany. And today, our first presenter is Frances Ann Marquette. She is an art instructor with Living and Learning Enrichment Center. She has been Miss Frankie for the past 8 years at Burger Baylor School for Students with Autism. Go Broncos! She is a parapro professional with students ages 7 to 26, working with students on a wide scale of abilities. Although difficult at times, she loves every minute of it, learning much and more every day. Frankie started working her second job for the Living and Learning Enrichment Center's Summer Camp 2021. It has been an amazing experience, and she cannot wait to continue with it this summer. Her interest, love, and passion for art led her to Tina and her art studio. She is honored to be teaching sensory art, mod market product class, and intro to painting. Frankie's primary medium is acrylic paint. although she dabbles in many other mosaic, clays, and other crafty materials. Seeing people her own age perceive to accomplish everyday life tasks, she became passionate about helping people and supporting them through tasks that come naturally to most people. She feels humbled after her years of working with and teaching people with autism. With art comes joy and peace, which is why she teaches her art classes. She wants her students to create however they are able to. It doesn't have to be how she demonstrates, whatever they see or feel as art. So Frankie, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you to share a little bit more about yourself and Live and Learning Enrichment Center.
Awesome, thank you, Cass. So for some reason, I can't see the presentation. It's just black, but I'll just go with it. So yeah, I am here representing Living and Learning Enrichment Center. We are an organization that focuses on supporting the highest quality of life for individuals with disabilities. We're located in Northville, Michigan. We have 14 acres of land that we have farmed. We have chickens, alpacas, bunnies, and bees. We actually sell our fresh eggs and honey every Friday from 10 to noon. We have a putt-putt golf course, and our property is open to anyone to come. You can just come on in, walk around, see everything we have. But we also have many different programs that we offer to teens and adults with disabilities. We have social skill programs, which include rock band, music appreciation, writers club, music club, girl talk, and a theater program. We offer special interest clubs for individuals, so sports club, bird club, gamers club, Comic-Con. And then our big one is our job skills programs. We offer vocational skills building, so clients will prepare for the workplace. We train them on resume building and interview etiquette. For more information on that, you would contact Jen Carpin at livingandlearning.org, livingandlearningcenter.org. We also have a performing arts program, which is I am involved in the arts. I actually teach sensory art, draw and sketch, and intro to painting. All of our information can be found on our website. We have a whole calendar of programs and classes that we offer. And that's about it.
Awesome,
I can't see the slides. I can kind of talk about them. So we have an Exceptional Academy. So this is a program that offers training for cybersecurity. So students will learn basically how to stop scammers and stuff like that, and coding. Our summer camp will run from June 20th to August 11th. So during the camp, it promotes social skills, really getting our members involved with each other. We will work on the farm, help take care of the animals during the day. We work in the lavender fields that we have, pick lavender, and we will use that to make products. We are learning to make soaps out from our lavender and harvesting it the right way. So yeah, we have a lot of things and a lot of hopes and dreams for all of our clients. Some events coming up, we have the Hopes and Dreams Gala. So this will be June 10th, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. You can come for food, wine tasting, dancing, and entertainment. So it'll be held on our 14-acre property. And this will be a fundraiser for our people with disabilities. I think I covered it all.
Yeah, Frankie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, you did. And even though you can't see the slides, we did really good at, moving through them while you were talking. So we ended on the gala. So thank you so much for sharing all those details. I love learning more about living and learning. And some of the events coming up. So if you are interested in the gala or any of the summer camp details or know someone who may be interested, please check out Living and Learning Enrichment Center. And thank you, Frankie, so much for your time. And as a reminder, we will have questions for Frankie at the end. So if you did think of something, please feel free to drop it in the chat or save it until we get there. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Brittany to introduce our next speaker.
Okay, thank you, Cass. So the next organization today is one that has helped me as a student with multiple disabilities navigate barriers in my education, and they made a positive impact on my college and learning experience in both my undergraduate and graduate degrees. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Charisse Frost, who is the Director of Wayne State Student Disability Services. So Charisse Frost is a native Detroiter as well as a proud alum of Cass Technical High School, Howard University, and Wayne State University. She is the Interim Director of Student Disability Services, supporting students with disabilities at WSU since 2012. Passionate about equity and inclusion in higher education and within the greater community. As the Interim Director of Student Disability Services, her goal is to promote an inclusive educational experience for all students with an emphasis on universal design, accessibility, and building community. It is her desire to enrich the journey through academia for students seeking accommodations, advocacy, and support. We can accomplish this by collaborating with campus partners, addressing the needs of students compassionately and holistically, as well as being dedicated to high impact practices that are aimed at enhancing student success. All right, Charisse.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I do have to pause and say I just really enjoyed learning about your organization, Brittany and Cass, and Frankie, that as well. I was taking notes, so I'll probably have some questions at the end too. Because I serve a population of students, Frankie, similar to who you serve, as well as people with a large variety of limitations. So just thank you for reading my bio, Brittany. That is who I am. I am passionate about supporting people with disabilities. It's a career I fell into, and I'm just ever grateful for that trip because it just was something I didn't know I wanted and needed, right, to feel fulfilled. So thanks for having me again. If anyone has questions about how I got to where I am, I'm happy to answer those later too. But I'll talk about what we do as Student Disability Services. So we do support students who have a wide variety of disabilities. It could be a learning disability, a physical limitation, chronic health, mental health disorder, even temporary situations that pop up, an injury and you're not able to write an assignment or almost anything. So what we encourage students to do is if they feel they fall in that category of a person with a disability, they should contact us, and I will put in the chat our link to register for our office, our services, and the website for our office, so you can explore the details a little bit more. I'll do that when I get done. But when students come to register with us, they do bring supporting documentation indicating what their treatment providers say is their limitations, and then we take their report because we believe our students, of course, are the best storyteller of their own lives and what their needs are. So we hear both that side of it and see what the treatment provider, the professional also is saying about your needs. We kind of put those together and talk about how can we support you through your academic career with those things in mind. So our goal is to remove barriers and to level the playing field, making your access to your programs possible. So we will talk with you about your needs. We talk with you about what your program and interests are, and your career in college. And we help sort of match those in a way that reduces barriers with some accommodations. So an example, I'll give a few examples of the accommodations that we provide. Some students utilize extra test time. We have some students who need support in the classroom because they may have sensory needs, such as maybe a visual impairment or being deaf or hard of hearing and needing some support in the classroom setting. So we can send support into the classroom in that way. We can help students navigate some of the challenges if they have a condition that causes them to miss class, for example, or to miss a deadline. If they have physical barriers that they can't get to class in a timely way, or they need different type of seating, or they need support in the housing area of housing if they need to live on campus. So there's like the whole entire experience at Wayne State University, we will support you throughout. We support students from their incoming year as freshmen all the way through medical school. So the support doesn't end when you get a four-year degree. The support goes on beyond that to graduate programs, professional programs. And then we're not just providing accommodations. A huge part of what we do is the advocacy piece. We recognize that many of our students come to us as traditional, just graduated high school. They might need some help navigating that transition into adulthood and managing their own things and advocating for themselves. So we're really about empowering students. We have students in situations where they're pursuing a passion that is actually their parents' passion. So we do help people refocus. We have students who are pursuing a passion that they then realize, you know what, I don't like this anymore. And so we help them make that next transition to the next field of study. And so we work closely with departments on campus who, such as like academic advising, who are also helping them navigate that, but we do it from the vantage point of understanding disability and understanding limitations, but seeing that not as something that means they can't achieve, but we see it as these are some barriers we're going to remove so that you can achieve that. So it's just really, it's a rewarding field to be in. And so again, I can talk about from that side if there's anyone who's interested in understanding the field and how I got that way, but got here. But again, it's just one of those things for me that is fulfilling because I'm watching students walk across the stage after we've supported them for a few years. And it's just really empowering to know that despite limitations and disabilities and labels that are put on you, you can achieve, whatever it is you're setting out to achieve. And we are proud to be a part of that journey. So really, the process is very individualized, and we always encourage students to consult with us and talk about what they might be able to get support with, because it will look different. Even if you have the same diagnosis as another person, your journey is still your journey. And so we really focus on individualizing those supports. And we are located right in the middle of Wayne State's campus in Detroit, Michigan, right in Midtown. So it's a vibrant place to be, as you all probably know. It's just, so it's really fun to be in that space. And yes, we're all sort of getting through this pandemic, but we are returning to the typical vibrancy that once was on campus. So come see us. There's lots of tours that go on. We're starting to kind of get back to that as well. And let's see if there was anything. I think that covers our services. And I definitely, again, invite people to ask questions about, even if you want to know privately about how our office might be able to support you. My email address and phone number are listed there. You can please reach out to me. We do get parents questions often about what the support might look like at the college level, because many students who come to us may have received support in high school or middle school or elementary even, where they received support through an IEP or a 504 plan. And so we can talk about how that potentially transitions to college and what all of that looks like for any students with disabilities who need support. Well, that is us. And again, I'm happy to share any additional information later.
Charisse, you still have a little bit of time. If you want to share with everyone how you got to this place, that would be amazing to know too.
Yeah, no problem. So my undergraduate study was in psychology, and I thought since age 14 that I would be a psychologist. And I'm going to have my couch and people are going to lay out and they're going to tell me all their things and I'm going to help them. And so I just had this vision from that age. I'm like, I'm going to get a PhD. I just kind of knew, right? But what I really knew is that I wanted to help people. I didn't know exactly in what way that would unfold. And so I did my undergrad in psychology and then transitioned to a master's in counseling. And I decided to specialize in rehabilitation counseling. And this is the part where I say I fell into my career because I thought still I was pursuing the typical counseling, hang a shingle, people come talk to me and share everything going on, right? Therapy. And I thought I would do art therapy because I'm a creative person. I just love expressing myself in that way. And got to the interview for grad school, and the interviewer was like, "Well, you need a portfolio for art therapy." And though I'm creative and I'm paint and I do things like that here and there, I didn't have anything formally ready. And I was like, okay, intimidated by that immediately. But then they also said, we also have this program, rehabilitation counseling, that will pay your whole way. You just have to work in that field for X amount of time once you graduate. And I was like, okay, they're paying for it. I had gotten accepted into U of D Mercy, and Wayne State was where I was interviewing. With U of D Mercy, private institution, they didn't offer me much or any money. And so I kind of followed the money, which is a practical decision that I made. And again, I was like, I don't know what rehab counseling is, but you're saying I'm still helping people. I'm helping a vulnerable population, which is very important to me. I've always been a person who wants to serve the underdog. And I'll use quotes because, you know, we're all humans and we are not underdogs, right? But the way that society paints the picture, right? So I've always wanted to, I've been that person. Anybody, if somebody's getting bullied, I got your back. If you're a person who's discriminated against, I got your back. I don't care what it is, right? That's always just kind of been me. And so I was like, that sounds like a win-win. I get a free education and, you know, I get to support this population. So I went into it knowing nothing about the field, nothing about disability rights and laws. And I just learned so much, and it's just become ingrained in who I am. Like I go everywhere and I'm like, this is not accessible. And so it's just really changed who I am. And then my mother acquired disabilities along the way. And so I'm always advocating for her. And I'm like, no, this is not right. So it just really became who I am. And I just love the field. And again, so at this point, I'm at 12 years later from graduate school. So it's just been, it was just a blessing in disguise. And so, yeah, that's my journey. And then I just got the role of interim director a year ago, like in a couple days. So yay me. But I've been at Wayne 10 years in October. And I grew into this position. I never thought I'd be in leadership, but I'm grateful for this new journey. Thank you, everyone. You know, I feel empowered to be a woman and a woman of color in this position of power. So I'm grateful for this journey and, you know, where it will take me. So I'm trying to make changes and lead and learn and continue to support people. That's my end goal. And I see some questions that I'll answer later.
Amazing. Thank you, Charisse.
Thank you.
And congratulations again. We're so happy to have you here and share your experience and, you know, the great services you offered. Like I said, this greatly impacted my life as a student with disabilities. So I love seeing that advocacy piece and that support, because it truly, I didn't think I would be at this place today. So it's an amazing space to be in. So thank you so much.
Thank you
I
for
can't
having
wait
me.
to hear more for the Q&A.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so with that, we're gonna present our next presenter. All right, so our next presenter is my cousin, Michelle Jones. She is a talented powerhouse entrepreneur and founder, executive director of Play Place Autism and Special Needs Center. Michelle Jones, executive director and founder of Play Place Autism and Special Needs Center and mother of an 18-year-old son affected by autism, is a visionary leader driven by the premise that children challenged by autism and other special needs are simply differently abled. Love that. Her goal is to provide comfort, affordability, advocacy, and hope with the ultimate ambition of making a difference. As a parent and education enthusiast, Shell's efforts are focused on education creatively disguised by fun, increased awareness of resources, and a judgment-free safe haven for both the affected individual and their family. Her continued emphasis is the development of play, place, commission, and design, programming for all ages, parent connections, community partnerships, and vocational training. Shell attended Detroit Public Schools and received her BA in English from Wayne State University in 1992. She is a proud member of the Shelby Utica Kiwanis Club, Sterling Heights Chamber, and NAWBO, or National Association of Women Business Owners. Ms. Jones is the 2018 Gus Awards recipient for the Sustainability Standards and Social Enterprise, 2017 Michiganian of the Year Award recipient, 2014 awardee of National Association of Women Business Owners Giving Spirit Honor, and award recipient of Crane's 2014 Salute to Entrepreneurs. We have impressive women on our call today. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Shell to tell us more about her organization on all the great things she offers.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I want to begin by thanking Detroit CHEMpreneurIST for inviting me out to speak and share some of the good things that we're doing in our community over here in Sterling Heights via Play Place Autism and Special Needs Center. So just to give you a little background on myself, I am the parent and founder. My son was diagnosed at 2.5, and I basically wanted to create a space where he could go, personally speaking, and not be judged. We would go out into the community, and people would kind of stare, whisper, and they were quite insensitive. So, you know, I think I did what pretty much every mother does to kind of, you know, relieve her son from, you know, that type of uncomfortableness. And it was more so more uncomfortable for me because he was unaware, because of the autism, that, you know, these things were going on. And so I set out and I went to the internet. I'm like, there's got to be a place, you know, that accepts my son and he can be who he is. But unfortunately, there wasn't. So you know, I took to an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I did my squares, circles, and triangles, and I kind of laid out what I had in mind in terms of what a place would look like that would be accepting for him. And it was basically play-based. When he was diagnosed, we enlisted in the Play project, which was more child-led programming and therapies as opposed to ABA. So I kind of piggybacked off of that idea because I was a new mom. I was 34 years old, and you know, I didn't want him to be like just everything was therapy and doctor's visits and things like that. So, you know, I wanted him to smile and have fun. So created Play Place. It's a 17,000 square foot facility. And as things started to develop and grow, you know, this thing kind of took off and grew arms. And so, you know, in the beginning, you know, my claim to fame was a mother with a child with special needs. And so, you know, we opened and we were trying to figure things out, and hey, we've got very low attendance. People are in, you know, the kids are in school during the week. The parents are at work. How do we get people in? And then, you know, it really, I believe I'm doing God's work. And so the schools started calling and they were saying, hey, do you guys offer field trips? And, you know, hey, of course we do. You know, it was something then that I had to fit into the agenda to make, you know, the attendance go up and just to kind of accommodate the situation. And so we started offering field trips and so on and so forth. And so now we have a summer camp. We do haircuts. We do teen nights, vocational training. We're a job site for the 18 to 26-year-olds to come in and acquire vocational training, employment skills, and just some of the features of the facility are we have swings, we have a Lego castle, and actually if you could go to some of the slides that I provided, give you some visuals as to what we're doing. So here is a picture of our rock climbing wall. Thank you to the Boy Scouts who we partner with quite often. For Eagle Scout projects that are needed. So if there are any Boy Scouts or parents of Boy Scouts that are on the line, we'd love to partner again with some other projects. So the rock climbing wall was a donation from an Eagle Scout project. The bottom left, I'm sorry, right, is our computer cafe, where pretty much everything that you'll see it was donated from the community. So like even with the computer cafe, the iPads were donated. The Somerset Mall Business Association, along with the Apple Store up top. But before I leave the bottom, the icons that were painted on the wall were by a volunteer who came in. The columns, the computer columns that the iPads are sitting on, they were donated by, I think it was Chrysler, as a matter of fact. They have an internship program, and their interns engineering internship program, and they engineered the columns that were placed into the computer room. Up top on the right is our bistro. We have a small bistro that we will soon be implementing to provide additional, well, retail, customer service, culinary vocational skills to our students who come in for vocational training as well. We just gotten it outfitted by the Lions International Service Club. They provided all of our equipment and refrigerating and things like that. So we're very connected into the community. We're Sterling Heights Community Project, if you will. And if you go to the next slide, this is our Lego room. Again, we were donated over $60,000 in Legos from the Lego company out of Denmark, actually. So we are not scared to go international and make those calls and request what we need to provide services for our children. Again, can you go to the next slide? We have a plethora of things. This is our direction wall. It kind of greets you when you walk in to a computer cafe, our art studio, which is not featured. Again, I'm trying to look around. We have bouncers. We have a reading loft, which was another project, Eagle Scout project. So it's basically a fun environment where the kids come, and although it appears to be initially an entertainment space, every component about Play Place within Play Place, or every feature has an educational or therapeutic component to it. So like, for instance, our Lego room, it's fine motor, creativity, matching, colors, things like that, shapes, just it's a lot of fun. So we get a lot of good results from our kids, better behaviors than let's say while you're at therapy or something like that, where they're putting a lot of demands on you. And here we basically don't, or we disguise it as play. It's like getting them to eat their broccoli without telling them it's vegetables. As a pivot program from the pandemic, we started offering respite. That is a big demand for our families, simply that, it's 24-hour caregiving is something that can really wear you down. And I speak from that perspective as a parent. My son is now 19, and not that I'm worn down by it, but it can, you want to be able to experience those date nights and things like that. And that's what our respite program does. It allows our caregivers to catch a break and spend some quality time together as a family. Next slide, I believe that's our summer camp flyer. Yes, so we have LEAP, which is Learning Enrichment at Play summer camp. It's June 27th, I believe, and the dates are listed, and they're 2-week sessions. We have one of the cheapest summer camps in the state. we have one of the funnest summer camps. And I believe it's from 8 years old to 26. No, actually it says 6 to 26. And we do a lot of different programming with our summer camp. And again, it's all about fun and learning combined together. Let's see, our website is autisticplayplace.org. You can learn a lot more about our facility. We're located in Sterling Heights. We feature a membership program. You can actually do a walk-in. It's $7 per child or dependent and $3 for adults. Alternatively, we have a $45 membership program, and it's $45 a month. And with that $45, it's unlimited access, a free haircut once a month, and you get a family pizza dinner, which is a large one-topping pizza from Jets. And that's until just until we get our bistro up and running, where then we will be providing our own menu selections and again training and employing individuals with special needs to help us make that happen. Field trips. We utilize the facility as well for you guys, teachers, any teachers on board to come out and enjoy our 17 menu curriculum, from following directions to physical skills, fine motor skills, you name it, Lego learning. And again, the curriculum is sort of disguised from an entertainment part of things, where let's say we have like following directions. One of our activities is like it's a pizza game where we've partnered with Jets, and we have the pizza boxes and we pull them out, and it's always funny to see the smiles on the kids' faces, and they think we're about to eat pizza, but we become the play place pizza makers. And you know, we have in the boxes are felt pieces that mimic pizza toppings and the cheese and the sauce and the crust, so they have to identify the components of the pizza. We're then counting. It is a part of following directions. Okay, the caller's on the line and she wants 6 pepperonis on the pizza. She wants extra cheese. And then we get to the end after we put on all these toppings, and then, you know, for the ones that are a little bit more cognitive and can figure it out, hey, she's called back again. By that time, she's a nuisance to everyone. She's a vegetarian, so what do we take off of the pizza? So again, it's having fun, but we're thinking and motivating the kids all at the same time. We're always in need of volunteers. You can go to our website, autisticplayplace.org, and click the volunteer tab, or it's just the website /volunteers. And there's a plethora of impact projects that we could use you guys for in terms of helping us with operations and things of that sort. It's a very low labor, fun-filled experience as a volunteer at Play Place. Lastly, we are hiring, again, with the respite program, we are in need of direct care workers, as well as administrative staff. If you give me a ring at 586-254-6533, I can definitely share our needs. And we have also yearly or annual events, our Costumes and Candy, as well as our North Pole Party, that happen in October and December. So if you follow us on Facebook, or, you know, sign up for our newsletter, you know, we'll keep you abreast as to what we're doing, the different happenings at Play Place. And I don't want to leave out that we also do offer birthday parties as well. So we're more of the fun themed disabilities or special needs service organization that is located in Sterling Heights, and would love to be, you know, expand with more families and curriculum. So thank you guys again for having me on, and hope to get in more families from this and spread the word.
Thank you so much, Shell, for sharing that information about Play Place. I know I learned a lot, and especially hearing it and just seeing the pictures, it's just really exciting what you do and how you've been able to really turn play into learning and meet students where they are. And we know here at Detroit CHEMpreneurIST that is so, so important. So thank you for sharing. And again, if anyone is interested in volunteering or working with Play Place, we will have that information available for you. And feel free to reach out to Shell at her website and go in for a visit and go in and have some and play while you volunteer. What a great opportunity. So now we have finally reached the question portion of the event. I'm going to go ahead and start with some of the questions that have been dropped in the chat to the presenters. So our first question that we have is to Frankie. And so Frankie, we had in the chat, we want to learn more about the Mod Mart. So can you share, what is Mod Mart? What happens there? What are the students doing? And just give us an idea of what that is.
Of course. So Mod Market is an enterprise of living and learning enrichment center. So it's a artist market. 45% of our artists are individuals with disabilities. So we have their products and their art in our store for sale. And we also offer job training within the market. So individuals with autism or related challenges can, experience employment and work in the store and learn the skills to run a small gift shop artist market. So yeah, there's more about that on their website. It's Mod Market. Just Google search it and it'll come up. We're located downtown Northville, like right in the heart of Northville. It's a really cool market. I suggest everyone go take a look. They're just such unique gift ideas for family and friends. Really, really nice store. And I actually, I teach the Mod Market product class. So we actually make the candles for the store. We make the candles. I developed a watering can spring, it's like an outdoor decoration for your garden. So I worked with our clients and we put those together. It was beading and stringing onto wire. What else have we worked on? We made garden markers for your plants and stuff outside. They had to pound into copper with the word of basil, thyme, stuff like that. And then everything else in the market is from our artists that we collaborate with.
Very cool. So what are the days and hours that Mod Market is open for those tuning in and maybe watching later on YouTube?
So they are open Monday, 10 a.m. to 3, Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Thursday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's their late day. And Saturday is also to 8 p.m. Sunday is just noon to 4 p.m.
All
so
right.
They're open every day of the week.
I love it. That's awesome. So plenty of opportunity for our visitors and those joining us today to check it out and stop in, get some great gifts for their family, whether that's around the holiday time or just because it sounds like an awesome opportunity. And I know I'll definitely have to make my way out to downtown Northville to check that out. So thank you so much for sharing that, Frankie.
And if there's any artists interested in having their product or art in the store, that you could also ask them about that and work with them on possibly being one of our artists.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. So anyone who maybe knows an artist who's looking to get their work in a store and share some of that with the community, please reach out to Frankie. Or like she said, just go ahead and Google Mod Market or head down to the store to check it out and learn more. So thank you so much for that. Our next question is for Charisse. So we have Do you have any stories of advocacy or support for students with disabilities, specifically in the science, technology, engineering, entrepreneurship, arts, and mathematics studies that you have worked with?
The first thing that came to mind for me, we have a student who I think she graduates with her master's in this May, or she may have graduated even in December. One of the sad things about the pandemic was missing some of the students as they graduated. We would normally try to like highlight them and all that. But anyhow, back to the question. She is blind, and she was a nutrition food science major. If you know anything about the science of food, there's actually a lot of science and math and that you have to know in order to be successful in that type of program. And so if you can imagine being in, I don't know, a biology or chemistry course and also not having sight, that's quite challenging, because you've got to safely in the chemistry class pour things in beakers and you know, physically do things that required to see with precision, right? And so, and similarly in biology class, you could imagine with the way that cells and neurons and all that are illustrated in books, it's often color coded. There's often some element that you would need vision for. And if you think about mathematics, there's graphing and things that normally, if you can see, you could graph it, right? So there's all these elements that we are like, okay, we don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to figure it out. And what helped us with figuring it out, certainly we had to think outside of the box. We had to come up with tactile things that, whereas a person might see blue or red, or be able to see the graph's pattern, we needed to make it tactile for the student to feel the pattern, right? So that they can still experience and participate in this course and learn from it. And so we had lots of varying ways that we had to address this. And it stretched us so much as a team and helped us grow and learn how to, you know, make this process accessible for her. But she also just kicked tail, and then she like got A's in all these classes. And it wasn't like we made it easier for her, right? That's not our job. We in college, at the college level, we're an access model versus in high school, middle school, and all that. There's a success model. They're like, what can we do to make this absolutely easier for you? That's not what we're about. We still want people performing to the standards of programs, because there are things that licensing bodies and accreditation, there's reasons we've got to make sure it's going to be just as tough, right? But we're just leveling the playing field. So she just kicked tail. We were just always so proud of her. She made it to articles often throughout the time that we supported her. And we're just so proud that we learned how to support a person with a sensory disability in the most like equitable way possible. And she proved that just making things in life equitable makes all the difference for some people, you know, for most of us. And so like, that's just one example that always pops up in her being in the STEM sciences and those classes. We were the first mindset of faculty who met her was always like, what do we do? Like grab everything nearby and just freak out really quickly. It's like, oh my gosh, you're saying she's blind and she's in my organic chemistry class? And we're like, yeah. And we're going to figure out how to make that happen for her. And we did. And so it just was always fulfilling, because we're like, I don't even know what this stuff is called, but like I was using these wax strings on like paper and creating tactile things. I'm like arts and crafting it to make it work for her. And it just was really fulfilling, because she excelled, you know, and I do recognize the fortitude it took for her to do that, and the dedication, because I'm sure she spent many hours with a tutor. Like, so we would hire a tutor through a state organization that would pay for it. And she was just so dedicated, you know, and she just taught us so much. Like, I just think about what we learned from her, just her experience. And that's a common story for us. It's like, we learn what it takes to achieve certain things. And then just the fortitude and grit that she has, like, she's always the example I think of, you know, when it comes to how to support a person with a visual impairment. She is the one. So that's one example that pops in mind for us. And we just had to, really, it was about calming down the folks who initially jumped to the conclusion of she can't do this. Because our job is to say, yes, she can. And also our job is to say, you got to give her a chance. because I recognize it's an individual journey for everyone, right? Someone else may not have the fortitude. They may not say, yeah, I don't want to do this. And that's okay because there's something else out there for them. So we've just seen so many variations of that. I mean, we've seen people, another thought came to mind. There was someone in mortuary, no, she was in the physician assistant program, which required her to learn like how to do autopsies and a bunch of things like that. This is a person who uses a wheelchair to get around. She can walk, but she primarily utilizes her power wheelchair. She did her interview for that program. It's a graduate level program, professional program. She did her interview via digital, like, and this is before the pandemic and all the Zoom things, but somehow her interview was via video call. She, impressed them, was admitted. They met her in person at the orientation and they immediately called us like, she's in a wheelchair. She did not tell us. She didn't owe them that, first of all, but they went crazy about it, right? Like, oh, she can't do this program. I'm like, well, you had her sign the paperwork. They go over technical standards in the orientation. She signed off. And so like, we give her this opportunity to try. And she also kicked tail. She also made it. And for her, it was a whole lot of thinking outside the box. She had to be in labs and very sterile environments when you're dealing with a body. And you've got to carry. I'm not going to get gross because we learned things that we didn't want to learn about, like body blocks and what that is. And if anybody knows, it's like after autopsies, you're carrying organs. It just was a lot of stuff I didn't really want to know, but I learned. Again, I'm always in that position of learning. And so we just came up with alternate ways. We modified it within reason. She still met the standards. She still kept up with what was required of her. And again, and for her graduation, I was just so proud of her. She did it without her wheelchair intentionally. She parked it at the table and she stood in line with the rest of her peers and she walked across the stage and I was there and I was just like, yes, you show them. Like, so it was just great. Like, so wonderful things like that have happened in the STEM sciences. And we have lots of rigidity in people who think things are a certain way because most of our sciences are exact sciences, right? And so deviation is like, what is that? But there's a way to reasonably modify certain things to make them equitable. So that's my soapbox. But those have been two of my favorite.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing it and really just highlighting some of the things you said. It's not that these individuals can't do something. It's making it an equitable experience for them and meeting them where they are and then letting them prove to you that they can go above and beyond no matter what their ability level is. And I think all of you have highlighted and spotlighted that today and definitely in your work that absolutely speaks volumes. So thank you so much for sharing those inspiring stories. And, hopefully to our viewers, you think about that and really before you pass judgments on a person and what their abilities level are, realize that maybe you should just talk to them and see how really great and what they can actually do when you give them the opportunity. So thank you again. And as we go through these questions, if anyone has any or anything's come up, feel free to drop it in the chat. I do have a couple questions for all of our presenters today. And so I'm going to start with Shell. I want to know, who has been your biggest supporter in your work?
That's a very good question. You know what? I'm going to say the community at large, just the community itself. I mean, I've gotten support monetarily, just with kind words and in-kind donations from, you name it. And it's just been really overwhelming with just how instrumental the community has been in the development and growth of PlayPlace. I'll give you an example of, like, for instance, during the pandemic, the reason outside of God, it's all, of course, orchestrated through Him, but we did a bottle drive, and the show from the community was it was overwhelming because we are currently probably at about $172,000 in returnables. Since June of the pandemic, and we average anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 still a month in returnables. So it's just, I can tell you so many like supernatural stories where it involves the community, from just parents who share kind words, which it's so motivating and encouraging, and from just Chrysler to like I said, the Lego corporation, to, you know, someone who sends in the $10 check. I mean, it's just, it's been amazing. And that's what keeps me going, you know, at times when it just seems like I'm just a parent who's kind of jumped into this big arena of special needs things. And there's so many gaps still out there, but you know, there's always those small gestures and even those grandiose ones from the Teamsters just donating last week $10,000 to our outdoor play area that just keep me going and lift me up when I need that extra support.
And how wonderful is that the community comes together, and it really does, you know, spotlight that it takes a village. We are all in this
Yes,
together. As much as we want to think that we're individual people and we're on our own journey, we all interact and we're all in this space together, and we all have to help each other and meet each other where we are. And that's so wonderful that you've seen that support from the community in both small and large gestures. And we hope that you continue to receive that support, and even events like this inspire other members who may be participating today or watching in the future to think about that, really what impact you can have if you just help others, you know, and whether that's lend a hand or just, you know, a bag of cans that you have sitting in your basement to add up to, you know, almost $200,000. That is amazing. And that is so wonderful. And, you know, thank you so much for sharing about that. I do want to ask that same question to our other presenters today. So we'll jump back up to Frankie. So Frankie, who has been your biggest supporter in your work?
I would have to say all the staff at Living and Learning. We all really work together. Everyone, you know, we have so many different departments within our organization. So I know the most about the art studio and Baseline, but our whole community also, Northville and Novi, support us all the time with donating, and not just donating money, donating different things we need to help programs run smoothly. So we're definitely very blessed with all of the donations we've gotten through the community and our amazing staff.
I love to hear it. I love to hear that. Just, you know, Northville and Sterling Heights, they may be a little bit far away from, well, I mean, relatively, they're both in Michigan, but, you know, kind of far away from each other, but still the community, you know, rises up to the occasion and can really support these wonderful, well-needed programs that offer, you know, this assistance to people who sometimes get the blind eye turned to them, maybe just because they're not like somebody else, and that's truly wonderful. And I'm glad that the staff can really come together at Living and Learning and support each other, because I'm sure, you know, you're going through similar things. Maybe, you know, I have a student that's just having a bad day, and you can share that experience and you can grow and learn together. So that's awesome and wonderful to hear.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, wonderful. So Charisse, I'm going to go to you now. Same question. Who has been your biggest supporter in your work?
So I think to the person who I guess started mentoring me, which there's a mermaid here now. The person who was my mentor in my graduate program and started me on my first, I guess, step in my career, which was in vocational rehabilitation counseling at Michigan Rehabilitation Services. She was my supervisor and then a peer, but stayed in that sort of mentor role. And I think she really started me on the path that I'm on. And then I was only with that agency for 2.5 years before I came to Wayne. So then I started thinking like, well, is that the person in name? But she really has been pivotal. She really has continued to reach out and check in on me. And she often is, you know, sending me things about continuing education opportunities and things. So she kind of was that foundation for me. And then the other part that just kept ringing in my mind is just my family. I'm a family oriented person. And so just having the support of my parents as I kind of went on this journey of getting where I am, that was just really helpful. And then, you know, they hear me, you know, like I'm on my soapbox about accessibility, and they hear me, you know, let me have it, and they understand. And, you know, I've been able to help educate them and others around me often about, just the disability world, if you will. So I would say maybe those two things, and we do have a very supportive staff as well at Wayne State. Within our office, we're all passionate advocates. And so it's been nice to have someone to rub elbows with, and we're on the same page. So I would say those folks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, mentorship, I'll highlight that. It's so critical. I know I've had mentors, I've mentored. We can always continue to learn and grow. And sometimes, you just need someone who's been through that experience or maybe something similar and can just help you through it. And then family. And I love the soapbox. If you hear someone say something and that's just not right, don't sit back and be quiet. Speak up and say, oh, excuse me. No. Well, here's the facts, because we're not going to be able to change the mindsets of people unless we correct them. And so I commend you for that. It is a hard thing sometimes to open your mouth, even if it's your family or your friend, and say, hey, what you just said, I think you need to revisit and check that. And I'm happy to grow and learn with you. You don't have to be mean about it. You can just support and share that. And I love that. Yeah. And I love that you do that, and that you're able to have those relationships. So that's critical. Thanks. And it just shows, to some other people that, speak up. Maybe, you're going to have someone that doesn't like what you have to say, but that's okay, because they need some time to think about it and process, and we can always come back together and grow and learn. Yeah. I do have a follow-up question for you, Charisse. So are student disability services available at every school, or is Wayne State unique, and can you speak to that?
Sure. So any university receiving federal funding is mandated to have a program like ours. So there will be a disability services at all public institutions, and again, anyone receiving federal funding. So then we've got our private institutions. I think most places still offer a version of what we do, because people with different limitations are everywhere, right? Differently abled individuals are everywhere. And so you're going to find an office like ours anywhere you go. I'm going to say that with most certainty. But again, if you're a privately funded institution, you kind of get to do what you want, which gets sticky. So if you need support, investigate the place first, to make sure that they have a program of support that suits your needs. That's my advice. And so, yeah, we're similar to other Michigan institutions that are public.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's, great advice. If you do need some types of services, it's always good to reach out and see what's available, and because unfortunately there isn't something that paints a broad, spectrum across the board. And so making sure that it's going to meet your needs. And I think that goes for anyone, whether they're fully abled or, do have some type of different ability. Frankie, I have a question for you. So through living and learning, or through some of the school stuff that you do, are there continuous support and advocacy for these individuals after maybe they leave the program?
Yeah, so well, for the school, it's a little different. The school only services up till 26 years for that program. For living and learning, we will support our members to any age. That's the whole point. We're actually, we're promoting independent living so that, once families are gone, their sons or daughters will be taken care of and will have built the skills to live on their own and independently. We just started a pilot program for independent living. So our staff handpicked 2 different sets of roommates, so 2 and 2. We have roommates living together. They're fully responsible for paying their bills and rent. Our organization helps out with like 75% of their rent, and then they pay the extra 25%. So we're giving them all the skills they need to actually live on their own, pay their own bills, and work a job. So that's a big piece of our organization that we're still working on, and we're hoping to launch soon. We're just in like the pilot stage right now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that's so wonderful that, the continued support is there. Like once you leave the program, we're still here to support you. We're still here and realize that, you need something, and how can we help? I do have a final question for everyone, and then we'll kind of move on to closing out today's event. We'll start if Shell, I know you're off camera, but if you're still there, I would love to start with you for this question. It's possible that she may have stepped away, so that's okay. If she comes back, I'll follow up with her. Charisse, I'll go to you first since Frankie just spoke. What are your organization's biggest challenges and barriers?
I would say that our biggest challenges and barriers are closed-minded faculty members and programs that are designed to be done one way, and they have a hard time, modifying their not even requirements, because we don't ask them to modify requirements. The struggle, I think, is modifying their mindsets and teaching modalities, and just because you've done something one way for 50 years, because we've got lots of tenured people who've been there, I don't know, 30 years, 20 years, maybe I exaggerated, but people who've been there teaching for decades, they've done it one way, and to ask them to do it a different way is just outlandish to them. And so we struggle a lot with faculty who need to broaden their horizons and are really set in their ways. And, folks who don't want to bend and be compassionate, and that is also a challenge, because there's no way we should have, I don't know, we've got departments that won't allow a student to make up an exam if they were in the hospital urgently there for an emergency visit, right? They're like, okay, we'll just drop that exam. We'll count that as your dropped exam if they have that built in. So you would kind of think, oh, a built-in dropped exam, that's a nice feature to have, right? Not a lot of faculty do that. But if you have a medical emergency, to force the student to make that their dropped exam is inequitable. They might have had one they did poorly on prior, and they're like, no, that was going to be my dropped one in my mind, and you're penalizing me about a situation I couldn't control. So it's faculty for us, some faculty, not all. We have some wonderful relationships with faculty, but we have some not so wonderful relationships with other faculty. So that's a constant work in progress for us.
This sounds very frustrating, and it sounds like a significant lack in empathy, right? If you could just put yourself in that person's shoes and understand what it was like to be them for one day, maybe, just maybe, you would feel a little bit differently. And so very unfortunate, but hopefully Wayne State is working with the faculty to give them training and to give them, the resources that they need to maybe change that mindset and really start to show some compassion and empathy, like you were saying. And for our speakers, again, just keep that in mind. What is it like to walk a mile in someone else's shoes? And, if this was you and you were really trying to do something and everyone just stood there and told you no, how would you feel? And so thank you so much for sharing that. Frankie, I'll go ahead and go over to you, because I think Shell is still off camera, but if she does jump back on, I will ask her, what would you say your organization's biggest challenges and barriers are?
So I think the person for this question would be our founder, Rochelle. But from what I see, our biggest barrier right now is we're so new. We're still trying to promote ourselves and get us out there into the community of what we do and, what we service for individuals with disabilities. So that's why this is great, trying to get the word out there about our different programs and stuff. And another barrier would be we're constantly working on so many different elements to add to our property, and we're just constantly working on new things to make this facility even better for teens and young adults. So I guess that's the best way I could answer that.
No, it's a great answer. I mean, thinking about, some people who maybe just don't know that these opportunities are out there, and how do we get the opportunities to the people that need them most, through our marketing and through reaching out through the community and through events like this. And so, we'll continue to share all of the resources that we've brought up today. And, if anyone on this call or watching in the future knows of somebody who really could utilize this and benefit from these services, who maybe is struggling with doing things just with medical doctors, there are other options and opportunity out there. And then another great point, and I know this as someone who's developing a nonprofit and doing organizations, is staying focused, right? oh, you only have the capacity to do, one thing, and you want to do all these great things and you want to offer all these services, but sometimes it takes away from some of those other opportunities. So to really hone in on that can be challenging, especially when you're trying to fill all these gaps and meet all of these needs. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm not sure, Shell, if you're back at the computer. I'll kind of give you a second if you are to turn your camera on. If not, then we'll move on, and we can follow up with Shell on that last question and share her answers with our audience and guests today.
It looks like she's at Play Place right now, so she might be dealing with something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And that's okay too. That so things come up, and this is a great example of how you have to be flexible and be able to just kind of roll with it. So that's no problem at all. We'll go ahead and move away from the Q&A portion. But thank you so much to our presenters for answering the questions of our audience, as well as the questions that I had today, and sharing your stories with us. It really means a lot into the community. The work that you're doing is just so wonderful and so relative and important and needed, and we need to see more of it. So again, thank you so much for answering those questions. And so next, we're going to go ahead and talk about some other ways that you can help Detroit CHEMpreneurIST. We are actively seeking participating classrooms, schools, and organizations to host our workshops. We offer dynamic programming to cater to your STEAM needs. And to sign up, you can email us at info@detroitchempreneurist.org. We would love to work, and I know we've been talking with Living and Learning as well as Play Place, so we want to work with students of all abilities, as Brittany highlighted earlier. That is so very important. We know that they can make their own personal care products and they can be entrepreneurs, and we want to facilitate and work with them so they can be their best selves. Other ways to help is you can engage with us through our research and through focus groups and surveys. I did drop our link tree in the chat. I'll ask Brittany if you could drop that again in the chat for everyone watching today. We do have market research surveys for not only community members, parents, and students. Taking those really helps us improve our program and also make sure that we're offering what the community needs. You can connect us with other organizations that may be interested in partnering. So if there is an organization that you work with, or maybe you've volunteered with, or you know of that you think Detroit CHEMpreneurIST would be a great fit with, please send us their contact information or share our contact information with them. We are actively looking for resources to help fund our efforts. So we are a 501(c) organization. We do things like the bottle drive, like Play Place is doing, as well as accepting private donations. So if you're interested in making a contribution, you can do that through our link tree as well as our website. As always, spread the word. If you think what we're doing is great, someone who would be interested in our content, maybe a professional in a STEAM field that would love to speak to our students. We are actively seeking guest speakers and volunteers to participate in our programs as well. And from there, we're going to go ahead and move into the resources that we have for everyone today. And I'm going to hand it over to Brittany to share those resources with you now.
Yeah, so every second Saturday session, we are intentional on providing resources related to the topic we're presenting. So the first resource we have for today's presentation is Detroit Disability Power. Detroit Disability Power is a membership organization that works to build political power of the disability community. They organize people with disabilities and allies around local issues that impact our lives, including employment, housing, education, healthcare, and so much more. They collaborate with other organizations engaging in work that affects people with disabilities, facilitate anti-ableism workshops for social justice organizations wishing to better understand the systemic oppression of disabled people, that are committed to dismantling ableism in their work, and host fun educational community building events. Our next organization is Disability In. Disability In is the leading nonprofit resource for business disability inclusion worldwide. Their network of over 400 corporations expands opportunities for people with disabilities across enterprises. Their central office and 25 affiliates serve as the collective voice to effect change for people with disabilities in business specifically. Respectability is our next organization, and Respectability is a diverse, disability-led nonprofit that works to create systemic change in how society views and values people with disabilities, and that advances policies and practices that empower people with disabilities to have a better future. Their mission is to fight stigmas and advance opportunities so people with disabilities can fully participate in all aspects of community. Respectability shifts narratives and creates progress by centering people with lived disability experiences in leadership roles, ensuring authentic representation in entertainment and news media, advancing successful public policy, and pushing for faith-based and other inclusion. Our next organization is Campaign for Disability Employment, or CDE. So every day, people with disabilities can and do make important contribution to America's businesses. They have the drive to succeed in employment and the skills and talents they need to deliver value and results for their employers. These are messages that bear repeating far and wide, and that's what Campaign for Disability Employment is all about. This organization is funded by the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy, and the CDE is a highly collaborative effort among several disability and business organizations that showcase supportive, inclusive workplaces for all workers. And the last one we have today is FemDChem. And FemDChem's mission statement says, sadly, there is very little support for people with disabilities who choose to enter STEM fields, and even less for women, people of color, and other minority groups that intersect with disability. People with disabilities struggle for even basic access to education, so obtaining a background that enables someone to go in science can be a daunting task, as Charisse alluded earlier. Compound that with existing myths that people with disabilities are inherently less intelligent or less capable of pursuing advanced degrees, and it is a recipe for very poor representation. In fact, only about 9 to 10% of STEM undergraduates have disabilities, a stat that drops to 5% with master's degrees and 1% at the PhD level. FemDChem's main mission is to break down these stereotypes and to be a central point for professionals, students, parents, and educators to learn about what resources are out there to prove that you represent 1 to 10 of your field, but you're not alone. So those are the resources that we have to share today. For our presenters, if you have any other resources that you think our viewers could benefit for or from, we'd love to include that and share those resources as well. So please do share if you know any off the top of your head, or think of them later. It's always welcome. So next, I'm going to pass it back to Cass.
And what wonderful organizations those are, as well as the 3 that we spotlighted today, and the work that they're doing just speaks volumes to them. So finally, we're going to conclude with follow us on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel for Detroit CHEMpreneurIST, where we will be posting this second Saturday session, as well as where our previous second Saturday sessions are posted, and our future second Saturdays will be posted. We also have other content on there, like some of our guest speakers, more information about our organization. This can be found through our link tree, just like all of our other social media. So please, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe to our page so that way you receive updates as we post new videos. We again just want to thank everyone today for joining us, all of our presenters, all of our participants. Your support means the world. The work that you're doing speaks volumes to you as individuals as well as to your organizations. And we just want to thank everyone for their time today. That concludes today's second Saturday. We hope you all enjoyed this as much as we did, and we hope to see you at the next second Saturday next month. Have a wonderful rest of your day, y'all.